Dave Meltzer continues to show how old and out of touch he really is. And he's gone kind of over the line this time. I want to say thank you to WSI out there, Wrestling Shoot Interviews on YouTube here. Um, I can't remember the guy's name, but I enjoy his work. And he's co-host of the Storytime with Dutch Mantel podcast. Dutch Mantel is battling illness again, as is his wife. I believe he's battling sepsis again. And here's a man who had to start a GoFundMe, or his daughter started a GoFundMe to help out with hospital bills. And people like Jim Cornette and people like Chris Jericho were gracious enough to donate a significant amount of money to him to help out with his medical issues and to help out with his bills. And then Tony Khan came along and donated a significant amount of money as well. But Dave Meltzer doesn't like that, because Dave Meltzer decided, why are you donating to this guy when he's done nothing but bash your stuff in the past on his little podcast, these podcasters. Dave Meltzer continues to bash the podcasters, even when they're sick and in the hospital. I mean, let's read what Dave Meltzer wrote about this thing. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. They had raised $64,200, with most of the top donors being anonymous, and the largest known donors were Tony Khan at $5,000 and Chris Jericho at $1,500. With Khan, many have pointed out that Mantel, as a podcaster, was brutal to Khan, even being critical of him when the promotion was at its popularity peak, and recently criticized him for the contract terms Swerve Strickland got in his recent deal. It is something when a former wrestler gets mad at a promoter who clearly can afford it for what he pays to top talent. And he was doing it after he knew the new deal was put together that was going to make the company exceedingly profitable. It's not making them profitable. If anything, they're going to break maybe slightly above even. So saying it's exceedingly profitable, come on, Dave. Wrestlers using the old school quote, he doesn't draw money, and not understanding that this isn't a mom and pop week to week business based on live event numbers, but one that in a worst case scenario year would generate $250 million next year, and that most of the revenue is guaranteed ahead of time. Now let me tell you this, guys. People were critical of this deal that Swerve got well before the TV deal was announced, well before the deal with Warner Brother WBD was announced. They were criticizing it. Why? They weren't criticizing it because Swerve, they felt like Swerve was not worthy of the money. Swerve is more than well worth the money. They're not criticizing it because of Swerve's work. They're criticizing it because of the way that Tony Khan has booked him. Under Tony Khan's booking, Swerve was probably one of the most weakest champions that they had. Let's get that out of the way. Now, I enjoy Swerve's work. I've followed Swerve Strickland ever since he wrestled. I saw him wrestling in Richmond, Virginia, all the way back in 2009 when he was Deacon Strickland, wearing a damn priest's collar and shirt. Okay? So, I look at it this way, man. Dave Meltzer, you are a podcaster. You're a podcaster who does nothing but bash WWE when WWE is the hottest thing going. You constantly, anytime WWE does something good and you are forced to acknowledge it, no pun intended, when you're forced to acknowledge them, you sound heartbroken. We can hear it in your voice, how heartbroken you sound at the fact that you have to put them over. But AEW does something and it's Oh, they're just not a hot company right now. They're just not a hot company. But to go in there and gaslight people, going, oh yeah, he has sepsis, but he was critical of AEW, and look at what Tony Khan donated to him anyway, even though he was critical of them. Yes, he was. And to be fair, that podcast, those two guys really did not get critical of him until after the brawl out with CM Punk. When will Meltzer admit that that was the damn the nail in the coffin? Hole in the coffin. Nail in the coffin. Anyway, you can't admit it. Mel, he will not admit it that it's Tony Khan's booking that's ruining this. How many times on his show does he go out and go, I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why AEW is doing this. I don't know how this makes sense. It's good matches, but I don't know why they're doing it. You know why they're doing it. You just won't come out and say why they're doing it, Dave. And for you to attack a man who is battling for his life right now, literally a 70-some-year-old man battling sepsis, and his wife is battling illness too. For you, why can't you go on there and just say, hey, Chris Jericho, Dutch Mantel, Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, Jim Cornette, they were all gracious enough to donate to Dutch Mantel. Way to go. Keep fighting the good fight, Dutch. No, you can't say that. You have to go out of your way to go, as a podcaster. Dave, let me tell you something, sir. You're a podcaster. You just hide behind a fucking paywall. You hide behind a paywall. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just stupid to me. You hide. You want to call podcaster. You are a podcaster. You are a WWE hating podcaster. You're the opposite side of the coin, my friend. You're a podcaster who you have your nose so far up Tony Khan's ass that you could probably tell what he had for breakfast just by one good sniff. You won't come out and criticize him. You won't come out and criticize his booking. You won't come out and say that he should not be booking. They got a Bryan Danielson who just retired. Hand him the book and step away. Hand him the book and become like an Eric Bischoff was. Be an executive producer. Yes, maybe you can have a little input here and there, but man, you should not have that book. And to Dave Meltzer, how dare you, man? How dare you? And I hate to be the woke guy who's bashing someone for what they say, but this is wrong. You don't sit there and it's basically sitting there asking Tony Khan, how dare you? How could you do that? How could you donate to somebody who has bashed you multiple times? Maybe because Tony Khan wanted to be a good dude for a change and help Dutch Mantel out. Maybe because Tony Khan's willing to put all that bullcrap aside and realize, hey, the man's fighting for his life. He needs some money to help him live. What is he not supposed to give him money just because he went and bashed him on the podcast? Come on, man. I sound like a woke little you-know-what by saying this, but damn it, Meltzer, that's just so... It's wrong, man. That's just wrong. Well, what business is it of yours if Tony Khan wants to donate some money to someone? What business is it of yours? It's none of your damn business whether he wants to or not, or why he would want to. But they were discussing the AEW deal and Swerve's. They were discussing Swerve's deal long before the AEW deal got announced. He signed Swerve to that new contract before the AEW deal with Warner Brothers Discovery got announced. Not to say that Tony Khan didn't already know what the deal was and was banking on the deal coming through. And maybe he looked at Swerve's contract and said, you know, okay, I can afford to pay him this much because I know this deal is coming. And I can float the money until the damn deal comes through, and then we can use what money we get on the deal to do it. I'm going to sit here and stand up and say that I dare to guess that Tony Khan probably knew about that deal and about how much it was a good 6 months before it actually got inked and signed. That's how this happens. And as far as it being profitable, I don't think it's as profitable as people say because they're signing people to such lucrative deals. Not that the talent isn't worth it. Hell, if I'm a wrestler, I'm going to get as much money as I can out of this money mark because that's still what he is at the end of the day. I'm going to, it's like Scott Hall said when he went to WCW back in the day. I have friends. I'd really now like the money. So I don't blame anyone for going in there and trying to get the best deal they can. Whether they're worth it or not does not matter. But as far as them being profitable and egregiously profitable, I don't think it's going to make them as profitable as they have been. I can't look at their books. Nobody else can either. So I can't say for any certainty how far in debt they really are. But that video game took a lot out of them and still continues to. They're still reeling from how much of a loser or how much of a money loser that was. I don't think people really want to put into perspective how much of a loser for them that video game was. I also wanted to talk a little bit today about Kenny Omega because I got a lot of comments about the Kenny Omega video that I did. People saying, oh, you take it too seriously and all this and that. I'm a wrestling pundit. It's what I do. I have to talk about it seriously. Dave Meltzer doesn't. Anyway, I wanted to look at some of the comments I got on that last video and go through them here. Let me see here. Comments. Sorry, YouTube has completely changed their app. It says, man, Punk or Cody isn't coming back anytime soon. I agree. You're taking this too seriously. Somebody says, what if he considered going to WWE after New Japan and his contract with AEW expires? He's not going to WWE. They had their chance. Young Bucks and Omega all had contracts up. I think it was like a year or two ago. They had active deals with WWE. They had offers on the table, and they chose to stay with the money mark instead. This is one that I found crazy, and this is from Trisha S. 1986, and this is I did a video about these kind of fans years ago, and it quote unquote almost got me canceled. But these are women who honestly think they would have a chance if they stood naked in front of Kenny Omega. Let's read this here. Well, Kenny is a Japanese citizen. Doesn't matter. He's also a Canadian citizen. He has it in his contract to work for NJPW. So, I never said he couldn't work for New Japan. I just said that maybe his return should have been hyped and done on an AEW pay-per-view here in the States. NJPW's slogan literally is the best in sports. Again, you're totally missing the mark of what I'm saying. Budweiser's thing is the king of beers. That doesn't mean that Coors goes out there and actively acknowledges it. Come on. You're uneducated on anything, Kenny, and it's sad. No, I'm not uneducated. I'm just not jaded like you are. I'm not wanting to stare at Kenny Omega and see, oh, how pretty, because that's all it is for you. Let me just say that, you know, Kenny Omega probably wouldn't come near you with a 10-foot pole. Okay? You're not going to get to fuck him. Okay? It's not going to happen, lady. No matter how much you try to hype him up and sing his praises. Dude, he almost died from diverticulitis. Okay. Yeah. Get well soon, Kenny. Um, ever think this is what Kenny wants to do? Doesn't matter what Kenny wants to do. Kenny Omega doesn't sign his own checks. Tony Khan does. He is an AEW contracted wrestler first and foremost. I'm not saying this is Kenny Omega's fault. It's Tony Khan's fault. Again, it goes back to Tony Khan and his crappy booking and his non-understanding of what the wrestling business actually is. He knows if he goes to AEW, he will be an EVP, and he said he's not ready to do that. Go fuck off. Kenny isn't even cleared yet. Well, first off, he doesn't. If he goes to AEW, he's an AEW contracted talent. You stupid moron. You're fucking you call me uneducated. You're uneducated. Listen here, Trisha, if that is your real name, you stupid twat. He is an AEW contracted wrestler and an executive vice president of the company. You know, I said it's Tony Khan's booking. I got to put some of the blame on Kenny Omega for this now that I think about it. As an EVP of a company, you should have a wherewithal to go, okay, maybe this ain't the best thing for AEW to do this. Maybe I should come out on Dynamite and do this. No, we just do it on a power struggle show and that no casual fans watch here in the U.S. It's okay. Our target audience is Americans between the average ages of 18 and 34. But it's okay. Just go to Japan. And I look at it this way. I said it. I'm saying this now. I get the sense that, yeah, you're right. He's an EVP and he says he's not ready for that. You know why he's not ready for it? Because he got so much crap for that video game being bad and that video game sucking. So much so that they lost 80% of their online player base in a month. He got so much crap for that it hurt his feelings. Maybe I shouldn't be an EVP. And maybe he realized, okay, maybe I shouldn't be an EVP. This EVP stuff is hard. And that maybe he doesn't like the direction AEW is going. So he wants to go back to New Japan. I could totally see him at the end of this AEW deal, whether it be 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Unless Tony decides to throw a crap ton of money to him, I could see him going back to New Japan full time. I could see it being the other way around where he's now a New Japan talent who is allowed to work for AEW and not the other way around. But this crap of, oh, you're uneducated, and he almost died from diverticulitis. Oh, God, really? Really? It's so stupid. The amount of these women who think they actually have a chance with these wrestlers, these groupies. That's what you are. You're like the groupies who used to hang around and follow the rock bands around. The hair bands back in the 80s. These idiots who used to follow people like Poison and all them around, thinking that they might actually get to smoke Bret Michaels one day. Guess what, lady? Guess what, lady? You're not going to get to sleep with Kenny Omega. I'm sorry. We have to let the dream die here. You're never going to get the chance to be in Kenny Omega's bed. It's not going to happen. You can fangirl for him all you want to. It's not going to happen. So I'm sorry that my fat, ugly ass has to be the one to burst your bubble. But pop, pop. There you go. It's done. It's over with. Get the fuck out of my comments section and leave me alone. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Do you agree with Dave Meltzer going up against podcasters once again? Dave Meltzer bashing Tony Khan pretty much. You're criticizing Tony Khan for giving money to somebody who's poked at him a little bit. Maybe Tony Khan realizes something you don't, that without people like a Dutch Mantel, this business doesn't exist. I never said Tony Khan did not love the business. I just said he shouldn't be running the business. Let me know what you guys think about this comment about Kenny Omega. Anyway, folks, we'll see you down the road.